Testing, testing. Hopefully you guys hear me okay. Um, so hi. I know it's been a minute since I've done one of these, but seeing that I'm in kind of an emotional state right now, I thought I'd try and you know, talk this out a little bit with you guys or just out loud to myself. And I feel like it's a topic that could hopefully help someone else who may be thinking about this or having these same kind of feelings and thoughts and variations and stuff like that. Give me 1 minute. I gotta go get some things real quick because I'm gonna try and like set the mood for myself, I guess you could say. All right, give me 1 sec. All right, so hopefully, sorry, hopefully this won't be long. But I was having a little bit of an emotional tizzy. Um, mainly, oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. It is not corona, hopefully, but you just never know. I mean, no, obviously, I, I know it's not that, but that's just, yeah, sorry. Hold on. All right. Oh my God. Let me get some water. Shoot. This is really. Give me a second. Give me a second. All right. All right. Hopefully the sound frequency here is doing a little bit better. We shall see for the most part. But okay. So, and this is very impromptu. So, just kind of forgive me for this. More than likely I'll edit this before putting it on YouTube. Um but if I need to, of course, which more than likely I will. But okay, so basically this topic um is about me as a transgender African American black trans woman, I guess you would say. Um and just my thoughts on a topic regarding, you know, having kids and stuff like that. I know it's like very, very much so down the line for me in a sense, but um, basically, what kind of got me to this emotional point is um, earlier this week, I had to go down to the DDS. For those who don't know, it is the um, driver's department service. I think that's what it's called. I may be completely wrong in how I'm saying it, but yeah, basically to go get your like license or ID permit or whatever, and because I lost mine like a while back, so I had to try and get mine renewed. So I had went down to the facility. Nothing bad happened, so I don't have like a horrible story to kind of tell you guys, but it was just more so a anxiety kind of thing. Like I have super bad anxiety, especially in public spaces. So, a lot of times I cope with that by just like putting on my earphones, giving people little to no eye contact, whether they're staring at me or not. Like I give them little to no eye contact because I just don't want to have to deal with the BS or the starings. If there are people who are just like glaring at me from a distance, like I try to kind of hold my what is it, facade, to where I just kind of make it seem like, oh, well, I'm, just in my little world doing my shit. And, if you approach me, approach me. If you don't, well, then, I'm gonna keep it pushing. So, I went to the, location to the department, and I, got to do all the things that I needed to do. But I'm sure you guys don't know, but I haven't had my sex change just yet. I'm planning on getting it. So I want to give that as a forenotice, but um I at the moment, it is what it is. So I still have the M instead of the F right now. But I think my situation is that, I mean, and also I just want to, I don't know why I'm telling you my personal business like this, but um, I have an appointment later on in the week to go, talk to my doctors to see about, possibly getting on some different kind of hormones, um, and like maybe switch from the pill to doing the shots instead, the injections instead. So I'm gonna see about that, and then I'm thinking about pursuing bottom surgery as my very first surgery, because I feel like a lot of other things I do feel like I do need to work on for my appearance, but I feel like my main gripe right now is I want to try and get bottom surgery taken care of ahead of time. So then that way I don't have to, like, that could be like the first and last thing that I really have to worry about. That way maybe I can feel confident and, a little bit more feel comfortable in open spaces instead of feeling like I have to be on this anxiety ridden defensive mode that I felt this week. So I don't know. But because that's the thing about it, is like I hate having to feel this way, because I feel like I put myself down more so before anybody else does. Now, it's not where it's one of those things where I walk into the room and I'm the most clockable person, but I do feel like I'm not unclockable. I feel like people, especially with people knowing a lot more about trans and stuff like that, like, I don't know, I just feel like there, I, I feel like my anxiety puts a lot more pressure on me to try to make me feel like, okay, bitch, you really gotta like wear it out when you walk into any kind of place, and you have to walk in with confidence. But the thing about it is, I have this weird complex where it's like a piece of me is like, I wish that I could dress like more I wish that, like, when I put on more feminine clothes and I feel, I feel my judge, I feel my my womanhood adjacent or whatever. Like, a lot of times I'd be feeling like, okay, well, I feel comfortable wearing certain stuff, but at the same time, I don't like the objection that I could get, because I got some big knockers, and like, she got a little bit of body, like, she's cute, like, as titties wise, I guess you could say. Like, abdomen still needs a little bit of work. um that's always been like a struggle for me. So, it is what it is at this point. I'm trying to work on it, but at the same time, it's like meh, I guess. But um, face wise, for the most part, unclockable. Unless like I just don't do good on my makeup, and I didn't feel like I did good when I went down to the department bureau. I don't know. I just, like I said, my anxiety was just really hit me that day. And I don't know. I kind of felt like I wasn't able to really, I don't know, I just let my nerves get the best of me, especially when I had to like walk up and deal with, the clerks and stuff. And then you know how the clerks be when they're behind that glass wall and they be giving you like, not to be that stereotypical person, but normally it's a woman of color who is probably not that much excited to be at her job that morning. And she's like giving you the bitch, just let's do the shit and keep it pushing. It's like one of those things. Luckily she wasn't like, hopefully not, well, she wasn't transphobic to my face, or she wasn't like nasty or rude. She was just kind of like, ugh, whatever. So, it is what it is. But she wasn't like being like disrespectful to my face, but she was just kind of like over, me. So I was just kind of like, okay, whatever. But like we got the pictures and all that stuff. So hopefully my picture comes out well. I still haven't received it yet. So, we're only going to wait and see how that goes. But I had to get it because of the hormone injections, because I know I'm gonna have to go show them IDs and stuff like that in order for me to get, my hormones and stuff like that. So, otherwise I probably would have just kind of found, if there was any other solution, I think I would have tried to go through that, because I know the last place I wanted to go was to the DDS place, but it's kind of like I had to get my ID in order to get that stuff. So I was like, I'll just get it out of the way now. So then that way, I don't have to deal with it later when the doctor tells me to do so. So, but basically, the reason that I wanted to, have a conversation on this day was because of just me talking about me having bad anxiety and not really loving myself like I should, because you see all of these videos. You see the videos with some trans women that I look at: Janet Mock, Laverne Cox, Angelica Ross, like majority of the women from Pose, some YouTuber trans women that I listen to and I watch, who they are able to kind of talk about how they're able to live through the world and most times not be clockable or clocked, and just kind of have the privilege to kind of go on in the world with looking very like feminine and womanly, and pretty much like they're pretty much like there at their transitioning point, and I don't know, like it's one of those things where at the end of the day, I'm gonna, be like supportive of everybody, but you have your moments where you look and you're like, oh, damn, I wish that, I could just kind of go through the ringer and not really have to deal with certain shit, and I get it. It's my, own choices that I kind of made that got me in this decision, or in this position. And it's like, I guess some people could say that being trans isn't really a choice, which in a sense it's not fully, because it's like, and once again, this is just, I guess, how I'm expressing it. But it's like, I can't help that what me being who I am in this moment makes me happy, and I'm not gonna try and like take it back, or I'm not gonna try to like quit everything and try to revert back to who I was, because I know there are some trans people who do detransition and stuff like that. I haven't gotten far enough with my transition. I mean, I'm on hormone pills, and yes, like I do have boobs, and I kind of always had boobs ever since middle school. They just kind of naturally grown before I even took hormone pills, and then when I took hormone pills, then I think they doubled a little bit. But and then like same with the voice and like some other things as well. So it's always kind of been lined up for me to go in this direction even when I didn't realize it. But I'm just like, I don't know if for the most part, if this is like something that I would want to have forever. Like I kind of wish if I was able to, I could just pick, you know, a gender when I was like young and just kind of go off with that, because you don't realize all the sacrifices that you're making when you are trans. And this isn't me trying to discourage somebody from making that transition, but and once again, I'm not thinking about, even though I'm having these internal thoughts, I know dead set how I want everything to go. Like I told you, I'm going to have bottom surgery. I'm going to kind of continue to pursue my own happiness, because at the end of the day, regardless of how I feel in the moment, I know I would beat myself up even more if I chose to just kind of back down from this and not pursue any of my happiness or anything like that. But I do kind of feel like there are a lot of sacrifices that you make, especially when you are a trans woman of color, because you do see, and once again, this is just my opinion, so I can't really speak for everybody, but in my eyes, I kind of feel like, especially in the dating realm, um, I feel like it is such a struggle sometimes for trans women of color, because of the fact that a lot of times you have your white trans sisters and maybe more Hispanic trans sisters, but I've seen more white trans sisters who's had this, where they are able to find love with their significant other, who's normally a cis man. Some of these, and there are like the women, the trans women who are able to kind of go through this, like I'm sure majority of them have their bottom surgery, so they don't have to worry about on any of that shit. But you hear about all of these different kind of love stories, and it's like you hardly see that too much with the trans women of color. For the most part, a lot of them, they can either have partners who are cisgendered straight men, or presumably straight men, if not pansexual, if not bisexual. Like they'll have cisgendered men in their lives, and a lot of times, you know, trans women of color, they don't really show that side to the public, which is understandable, because it's like they have the right to exclude their romantic lives if they want to, because that Black trans women, for the most part, they do get a lot more hate when it comes to, excuse me, when it comes to them finding a significant other in their life, and how the public will kind of take that and use that to kind of go after the man and say, oh, why are you with this so-and-so person? That's a so-and-so. And, I'm sure that the white trans women, girls too, sorry, I'm sure that the white trans women get that same kind of energy too. But, since I'm on the Black side of the spectrum, I see it more so with the Black, with the cis, with the trans Black women, you know, and it kind of now puts me in a space where I feel kind of like it's better for me to just kind of live my life, not expecting that there may be that high chance that I find a significant other. You know, there may be a chance that I just need to be okay with being alone. And it sucks because when you're young, you look at all of these, and I know it's so fucking mm, uh chaotic to do this because it's like, damn, why did I have to look at all of this when I was a kid? But you look at all of these Disney movies, these princess stories, and all of this shit when you're like a young kid and you're expecting, oh, okay, well, you know, here's a girl who's down on her luck, who's, doing this, that, and the third. And maybe one day you just may find your Prince Charming to be able to swoop you off your feet and y'all live happily ever after together. And when you realize, and the person, sorry, I was going to finish it by saying, he sweeps you off your feet and he becomes your protector, your lover, your confidant, all of this shit. But once you leave out of that fantasy world and you grow up, you get older, you see not every guy's a gentleman. Some guys are creeps. Some guys are douchebags and assholes and all of these other things. And it's like, but there's still certain moments when you hear about people in real life having a happily ever after, a day, a moment in life when they were able to have this iconic moment of just seeing each other and knowing that's the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. Even though you don't know if it's going to last, it's that first glance. It's that first chance to kind of at least have that moment with somebody. And you think about it and you realize, okay, well, at first I started off as, as a cisgendered boy, didn't really know too much about love, but I was like, oh, okay, well, that's cute. And then I would have certain people that I would talk to, but it was never in a relationship kind of way. It was just, friends or whatever. And, just talking and whatever. Then you grow up and then you start to realize, okay, well, I have a little bit more interest in boys and yada, yada, yada. But of course, at the time, it's when you're younger, you realize, oh shit, that's probably not right because the world already puts a stigma on the fact that that's not right. So now there's this amount of shame or guilt or embarrassment from either you or the other person involved, and nothing can go from there. So you're already detached from that small little chance of getting something in regards to like a moment, a Disney moment, I guess you could say. And so you get older. And then not only now do you realize, okay, well, I think I'm gay, because I like guys and yada, yada, yada. But then you realize there's more to yourself. And whether that means that you're a non-binary person or somebody who's coming into their own transgender identity. And then you're like, wow, okay. Well, now I kind of feel a lot more alive than I did before, because before I just kind of felt alone. I felt like I didn't really have a purpose here and all of these things. And but you realize that now that you made this particular decision, yes, you feel 10 times more alive than you did before. You feel more like you could conquer the world and live in the world with your truth and all of this stuff. Then you come back to the road of romance and you realize, oh shit, it's kind of empty here. Like it's far and few, and the few that are there on the road, they're the toads. They're not the toad that you would see in Princess and the Frog. Like no, they're not Tiana and the Prince. No, it's just a gripey little toad who just wants to use you for your body and then swim back into the lake, you know? And now you're and the sad part about it is there's going to be certain times when you do fall into the pond, because what other choice is there, you know? So now you get out of the pond and you're back on, I say the lily pad, because why, or I don't know, maybe back on like the gravel or whatever. And now you got like a bit of a stain on your dress, if you want to, count yourself as the princess or whatever, or even the prince. But then now there's like a stain on your outfit because you couldn't find a prince to kind of go after. So you kind of had no other choice but to sleep with the toad. And so you still kind of wait for that prince, and you're kind of holding out hope while still kind of, I guess, being independent in your own right, doing what you got to do in life. But, it would be nice to be able to share that experience, share that glow up with somebody in a romantic sense. Yeah, you got your friends. Yeah, you may have your family, but I feel like it's a different kind of feeling if you're talking about a significant other. And especially if you see yourself so vividly at a time where you were like, oh, I'm gonna have, a husband, I'm gonna have kids, I'm gonna have all of these magnificent things. And you realize that slowly but surely, the more toads that you sleep with, and the more dirty your dress gets, and the more you kind of start to look at the pond for what it is, instead of thinking of it as this beautiful lake with swans and doves, you kind of realize, oh, this is a swamp with nothing that is going to meet that dream that I had. And you slowly start to kind of deteriorate from what your initial thought was of having all of this beautiful stuff, being, a good housewife, a good wife, a good mother to children, realizing that, well, we'll get to the children part later because I do want to talk about that as well. But basically, you just realize that just may not happen for you. It kind of puts you in a dark space because now you're questioning your own beauty. You're questioning your own worth. And now you only got these particular kind of men who only want to use and abuse you. And then you kind of have to find your way out of the gunk in order to realize, bitch, I do have self-worth. But the thing about that is now it makes me look at all of the men in a different light, because now it makes me think, is there really a good man? Because for the longest time you were waiting for that prince to show up and kind of, and you just kind of were forced or allowed yourself to just settle for less than. So it puts you in this weird spot of feeling like maybe it's just better to kind of be alone, be the independent princess doing your own shit, or prince doing your own shit, not really fucking with anybody else. But then it's kind of like you have to chip that piece of you off, because otherwise it's just going to hurt you internally, because it's like you're not going to be able to really think about anything else out of life besides, like, for the longest time, for whatever godly reason, more than likely because of the Disney princess stories, I felt like all of my worth was trapped in a man, and wanting to have a man love on me and be that significant one for me. But I'm starting to realize I have a lot of attributes that aren't desirable to certain guys in the world. And I have to be okay with that. And I have to realize that 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to be the top pick. And that maybe it's just better for me to not have to deal with those kind of guys, because it's like, what kind of guys would I get? The ones that want to talk shit to you, the ones who want to just use you for sexual interest, the ones that want to be abusive towards you because they're questioning their sexuality and they don't know how to handle it. So instead of them having a like actual conversation with you like a decent human being, they feel like they better express themselves by physically attacking you or mentally, you know, hurting you. It's, I don't know. And I guess the same can go for cisgender women too, who deal with trans men or women that they're in a relationship as well, because it goes in both ways in all kind of spectrums. But yeah, so it just kind of puts me in a place where I feel like I have to give that part of myself up. And it's sad because I do see that dream still so vividly. And it hurts because one of the sacrifices that I feel like a lot of trans women don't really talk about is the fact that when you transition, you don't realize that you do kind of give up that chance to have kids of your own. And for the strongest reason, I have such a hard time coping with that, because it's like I stand on the edge of 2 different lanes, because it's like one part of me wants to pursue my transitioning with little to no regrets, but I know that my regret would be that I would want to be a parent. I'm trying not to cry. I want to be a parent, and I want to be able to have my own kids if I had a significant other. And because I don't know if that will ever be a thing for me, it hurts, but I think because I want the bottom surgery, I know that that would be kind of like the final step for me. And oh fuck. It'll be the final step for me. And even though I would be happy about it, I would be happy to have my bottom surgery and live out my life, whether that meant that I was with somebody or not. It's like, it's still the situation of knowing that I know we get it thrown in our face that, we can't give birth and do all this stuff. And I get it. It is what it is. But I wish that we were at least able to contribute a little bit with having kids of our own, because even if I think it would hurt a lot more if I was with somebody, because it would be like, what if I met a great guy? What if, like, okay, let's say, what if, or a great person, I should say, but what if I was, fully transitioned, I looked beautiful, had a wonderful husband who, or whoever who loved me, and we thought about having kids. He could still have kids, or they could still have kids, but I would, feel so left out because I just always seen myself being able to have kids. And I know that that's not something that I could do. So I don't know. It would feel like one of those things where it's like something's missing. Even though I would love the kid, obviously, I would love the child and I would treat them as my own. But people don't realize just how devastating sometimes it is for trans women, because it's like we kind of give up that right. We kind of give up that right because if we did finally have that, like, we know that we can't give that to our significant others. We can't give that to our partners that we're in a relationship with. So that's already a down point sometimes. I mean, if they want kids. I mean, and obviously I would want to adopt too. Like, that's something that I thought about. Like, I want to adopt, but I also want to be able to have my own kids. And I know that that's something when you're on hormone pills and when you're on hormone pills, when you're, doing bottom surgeries and doing all this shit, it's like you don't realize how it kind of puts you in a position where you're like, shit, I can't, I can't really contribute in the way that I was hoping, like I don't know. It just puts me in a space sometimes because I don't even think that that's the life that I could live even if I wanted to, because I just don't even know. Like, the perfect dream would be I had a significant other that I was madly in love with, and they were madly in love with me, and we got married, or one the Cinderella dream, basically. The Cinderella dream of loving somebody and all this other stuff. And being able to, you know, have kids and just live the family life, have my little kids being young little gamers and, stuff like that. Uh, but, like, I picture that shit so vividly. Handing them their lunch boxes as they're heading out the door going to school. It's so fucking vivid. It's like right there to the point where I can fucking touch it, But I realized that's not my dream. That's not a reality that I could do. That's not something that I could accomplish because I wasn't born with it. I wasn't born with those abilities. And that eats me up, I don't know if every trans person thinks like this. I know there are trans women who want kids. I know there are trans women who probably given up the idea of kids because of this kind of shit. But they don't realize, people just don't realize some of the sacrifices that we do make. And I get it, because some people may come down into the comment section, or if they even give a fuck about this video, they may say, well, it was your choice to do this. Why are you crying? But it's like, sure, you could say it was my choice, but that don't mean that I still can't feel the way that I feel. Everybody has a title, has an entitled way of feeling a certain kind of way. Like I said, I don't regret any of the choices that I'm making in my life, but it's just disheartening to know that this is a burden that is placed upon us as trans women. Because if we could revert and we had if we had a strong enough emotional stance to be like, you know what, fuck this, we're gonna go back to being our original gender, then I think a lot of us who want kids, or who think that this life is just way too tough for us, we would turn back. But there's just this innate feeling inside of us, the ones who don't want to detransition, because they do have some that do detransition, and more power to them, because they take that, they really put thought and they really put thought into making that decision, because I know that decision does not come easy, to go back to that life. It's like they really have to have a sit down conversation with themselves before making that kind of a thing. But to me, me as who I am, and I'm sure some other trans people can attest to this, there's this innate feeling that where we are with our transition right now, we know it's not the end, and we know that we could do better things with our lives as who we are now. And I feel like I've made so much progress in the past few years of me understanding my transness, than I ever did before realizing my trans journey. Because before, I literally just felt like a turtle in my room, like just hibernating for years on end, especially when my mother passed. Like I felt empty inside. I felt like an empty void. I didn't feel like there was anything worth living for. So as I learned how to be open about my transness, I was able to kind of open up those doors and those windows and see there were certain things that life was worth living for. And because of that, it makes it hard for me to want to detransition. And regardless of how far I've gotten or how little far I've gotten with my transitioning, it's hard for me to want to go back because I don't see that for myself, because I've gotten a whole new light with who I am now as a person, as an individual. And I know maybe people just don't get that, but I don't know. That's just how I am with it. But yeah, it's, I guess it's still a decision, not a decision, but it's still a thought that runs through my head. And I think it's something that's going to constantly hang over me and constantly make me emotional, because it's like, I really want kids of my own. And I wish, and I did try to look at oh my god, sperm storage banks, but you know, I realize, like, I'm not financially at a point in my life where I can kind of I don't know. I see. I got to look back into it because I thought that it was saying like 200 per month, but if it's like 200 yearly or like 300 yearly for sperm banks or whatever, then maybe I'll see if anybody does watch this video and they have any information or insight about certain stuff like that, please comment that down below. But the one that I went to, or not went to, but the one that I looked up, they said that it was like a monthly fee of 300 to 200, and I was like, oh shit, I don't know if I could do that. So I kind of had to be put on the back burner. And on top of that, I've been on hormones now for pretty much close to a year, so I don't know if I've already ruined my chances of doing, sperm bank kind of stuff. Um, I'll probably, after I get off of here, I'll look it up just to see. But that really kind of discouraged me, and because I had a talk with my therapist about this, and it, like, in a sense, I kind of wanted kids for the sake of, I felt like it was something that was so driven in my mind, because I wanted to kind of keep the legacy of me and my family going, even though I have other siblings. I have other siblings. But I don't know. I just, me wanting to be a parent, and then also me wanting to be a parent, but then also me wanting to kind of hold on to, the genes, even if it was under me and mine. Because then, I don't know, maybe it could make me feel better about, like, if mom was alive, then she could see that I was able to have a family and live that life to the fullest. But I, realized with my therapist that's probably not the healthiest thing, because, that life may not be possible for me like that. So, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I do feel like this is something that time and time again, every once a blue moon or whatever, when I'm in like a little rut, it's something that's going to continue to be in the forefront of my head. Especially if I can't get like a sperm bank or anything like that. It's definitely going to be something that kind of stays in the background of my head, because it's like, whether I'm doing it by myself or with somebody else, it's like, if I'm not able to contribute in that kind of a way with them, it's going to hit me hard. It's just going to hit me hard. I already know this about myself. I know there's no way around it, because it's going to feel like an opportunity that I just wasn't able to contribute with. And I would never want to have it where if I can't do it, then my partner can't do it either. Like, I would want them to continue their genes if they felt comfortable doing that. I would want them to continue their legacy. But it would be sad to know that I could not contribute in that same way. And I guess this also goes for like same sex relationships as well. But of course, they could, their stuff can still work fine because they're not on hormones or stuff like that. So it's a little bit more different with trans women, I think, specifically, because that shit does kind of dissipate over time. But I knew I was gonna cry, but I was hoping that I wasn't going to. Um yeah, I think that's about it. I think that's about it. Um I just kind of wanted to get that out, because emotionally it just hits you sometimes. And I don't know if any I don't really know too many trans women like that I could kind of talk to. So I kind of just have this YouTube stuff to kind of get my grievances out. Sometimes I have this little thing here on Anchor that I have whenever I'm feeling riled up or in my emotions or whatever. And I just can kind of, come on here and vent or cry or get emotional or do whatever the fuck. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and enjoyed the conversation. If you guys have anything to contribute that is of substance, hopefully not of negative substance, just something in regards to, like, if you're a trans person, or even if you're someone who has any like issues with this particular I guess not topic. Well, like, if you're a cisgendered woman who uh has issues with conceiving like within themselves, and they kind of go through these same kind of emotions, like, I wouldn't mind hearing that as well, because I know the thought process definitely does border in that same way. um you know so hopefully all positive. I know we may get a negative, or if, like, once again, if anybody watches this, because girl, I don't even know. But my timer is running out, because it only says that I got 60 minutes left. So I'm at 55 minutes with this going now. So I will definitely get off here now before it cuts me off, because right now I think I've pretty much said all I needed to say. So I hope that all of you guys enjoyed this, got something from this. I know it kind of helped me out, let me kind of get my emotions out, and I'm feeling a little bit okay now. But I know it's not going to last forever. But anyways, I'll talk to y'all later for the next emotional breakdown that I have. And just, always remember to PLEs. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Let me get my voice together. Okay. Always remember to PLEs, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And to just always keep shining bright, my true blue diamonds. And I will talk to y'all later. And without further ado, bye.